This demonstration is to show how to program in the multinomial probability mass function into a TI-84 calculator. And we're going to do this and then test our program on a sample problem. So suppose we have 4 candidates to choose from, candidates A, B, C, and D. And the probability of each candidate obtaining a vote is as follows. Let's say that the probability for candidate A is 0.1, for B is 0.25, for C it's 0.25, and for D it is 0.4. And our problem is, suppose we sample 10 voters, what is the probability of having a sample having 1 vote for A, 2 votes for B, 4 votes for C, and 3 votes for D? Now, in order to write a program to do this, we will enter the specific outcome in a list and the probabilities in another list. Then we shall employ the formula below, where the probability that A is equal to x1, outcome B is equal to some number x2, etc. down the line. And that is n factorial divided by the product of x1 factorial, x2 factorial, all the way up to xn factorial. And then that fraction will be multiplied by the probability of getting the first outcome raised to the number of outcomes we're looking for, times the probability of getting the second outcome raised to the number of outcomes that we're looking for the second one, all the way down to the nth outcome. Now, if you go ahead and calculate this on elsewhere, the answer should be about 0.0196875. So we're going to write a program, and then we are going to execute it to make sure that our program works. And in order to do that, we are going to go ahead and hit the program button, go over to new, and we're going to type in the name of a program. We'll just call it multiprb. We hit enter to access the program. We're going to go ahead and clear out the lists for L1 and for L2. This way we don't have any extra numbers in these lists that may mess up our calculations. And then we're going to ask the user to input the list of the specific outcome that we're looking for. So I'm just going to type in the word outcome here so that a user knows that this is our outcome that we're looking for. And we'll go ahead and put that in list 1. We'll do something similar for the associated probabilities for these outcomes, and we'll just call that statement, PROB, prob. And we'll go ahead and put these in L2. Now what we're going to do next is we are going to get the sum of the entries in L1 because that corresponds to the numerator of our fraction in our calculation. So we'll go ahead and call up the sum command and ask it to sum the entries in L1, and we're going to store that in a variable and we'll call it n. Now we are going to go ahead and display our result. We'll just call it a answer, ANS for short. Go ahead and turn the caps lock off, or the alpha lock off, and type in our comma, and then we'll start typing our formula. So we'll have n factorial. Remember, the factorial is under the PRB menu. It's option number 4. And we're going to divide that by the product of the factorials for each of the specific outcomes. So we'll access the prod command, and we'll call up L1, and then we'll tell it to compute the factorials of L1 first, and then multiply those results together. Now I'm going to go ahead and call up that product command again, and I'm going to tell it to take the entries in L2, the probabilities of the outcome, raise each entry to its associated outcome that's stored in L1, and then multiply all of those together. And then I'll quit out of this menu or this screen so that I can get to the home screen, and then I'm going to go ahead and scroll through any other programs I have so that I may call up this specific program. And I do have a few programs already here, so just be patient. There it is. Go ahead and hit enter to call it up. We'll hit enter to start executing it. And we'll go ahead and enter in our list. We have to do the curly brace to start a list in the TI-84 calculator. And our specific outcome is 1, 2, 4, and then 3 for candidates A, B, C, D, respectively. And then we end it with another curly brace, hit enter, and then the probabilities of these outcomes, we'll go ahead and type those in as 0.1, and then comma to separate the entries. And 0.25, and then 0.25 again, and then 0.4 finally. We'll hit enter to execute it, and we get 0.0196875, exactly what we should get. And this is one way to program in the multinomial probability mass function in the TI-84 calculator.